If you just want to go out and catch a bunch of bass, any species, you know, but especially like smallmouths, a Ned rig is really hard to beat kind of all season long. It's a fish catcher. I've got a couple rigged up here, just a couple of different Ned style baits, but we've got two different style jig heads that we're using for Ned style fishing. So we've got a Finesse Football jig and we've got the regular Nedster. This is the weedless version. We've also got a non-weedless version as well. But these are both built on a 1/0 Gamakatsu hook. So, you know, the perfect size hook for these kind of baits, sort of a finesse technique, but it's a Gamakatsu hook, strong. You know, you don't have to use 4 or 6 pound test. You can use some little bit heavier line and still be able to pull on and catch big fish, big bass on them as well. But I'm going to tell you a couple of, you know, when I would choose one over the other. I get asked that quite a bit, whether to use the football style or just the regular sort of mushroom head style. Football Nedding. That right there is one of the most lethal smallmouth baits that you can put in the water. You know, across the smallmouth belt, obviously crayfish are a big part of their forage, so any of the Ned rig style baits work really good. So this is one of the Elite Series Northland football heads, 1/0 Gamakatsu hook in there, so perfect size. You know, not too big. You want it to match up with these small baits nice, but it's still a strong little hook. You can catch 4 and 5 pounders on it and you know, not have to be chasing them around for 5 minutes trying to let them. You can reel them in on that and hook them good. The football head design, I love it because it kind of helps the bait stand up, look natural, look like a crayfish, and it sort of crawls around in the rocks a little bit better. It'll still get snagged, but not as much as a you know, a tube head or a traditional head that's maybe more likely to fall over. It helps keep that hook point up. So I'm fishing tournaments, fishing for a living. I want the best stuff. So the hook in here, we keep talking about it, but primo, you know, high quality hook. It's not going to open up. It stays sharp. You can, you know, rub it on some rocks. And then also, like, really good keeper on there for the baits. We got a little wire keeper. And the heads are painted nicely, sort of all the colors that you want, but they're, you know, they're not gonna chip on you. You kind of folded that up on me, but nice paint jobs, just like I say. Holding up both of them here, you can see the football design. It's got a little bit wider head. It's going to sort of help the bait stand up a little bit, and then the traditional sort of mushroom style. So I really probably use the football style head a little bit more now, because when I'm fishing this style of bait, it's you know, a lot of the finesse techniques we're looking to get bites when the bait's falling, and with this bait, not so much. I want the bait to get down to the bottom. A lot of times, you know, especially with using in conjunction with forward-facing sonar, you'll see fish out there, but I'll just let it drop past them, you know, in their vicinity. They're going to see it, go follow it down, and then I'm going to make this thing act like a little crayfish or a bug on the bottom. And the nice thing about the football design is you can pack a lot of weight into it and still, you know, have a finessey look to it. You know, the profile's not really that big. On the Great Lakes, you kind of get that goby looking head a little bit. You know, they have a sort of a fatter head, a little bit wider head. But when that bait's going along the bottom, it sort of just helps the hook stand up a little bit, so maybe a little bit better for being less snaggy. I mean, you'll still get snagged with them, but a little less snaggy. The regular Ned style, it's a little bit softer bottom, sand. Obviously, this is a weedless version, so if I'm fishing it around some wood, clumps of grass, that sort of thing, that little weed guard's going to save you a lot of hooks. And even around rocks somewhat, you know, if you're patient and you can kind of bounce it and crawl it around the rocks, that weed guard, you know, if it's somewhere that's really snaggy or you're finding that you get snagged a lot, that weed guard will save a few jigs. A lot of times when I'm guiding, if I'm fishing with people that maybe don't have a lot of experience, fishing a bait on the bottom, we'll use this one, and it saves you a few jigs. But also, you know,
The bait, that head will still stand up pretty good on the bottom as well, but just a little bit different look. You know, if you're using a little bit thinner bait, more of a finesse bait, that mushroom head bait, jig head might match up with your bait a little bit better. And if you're using a little bit bigger, bulkier Ned style bait, the football head might match up a little bit better.